Likes and pulling each other as we go.
It's probably better if you don't have one on me.
That's the worst problem that we have here. That'll be very, very well okay. Before the meeting, before we come up here, I was sitting outside, Justin and I were talking, and I had just finished watching the news at home, and I just can't imagine being part of the government in Texas or Louisiana now. I mean, what's going on down there is just unprecedented. I don't know how you work through it as part of the government, we'll say, in one of the smaller towns or smaller communities. One community told their residents not to even go back. It's gone. Everything is gone. It's just unbelievable what's going on down there. And I just think we have to thank the mountains that sometimes we curse, but I think we got to thank those mountains when we run into situations of weather, because we certainly sit in a great area protected on all four sides by mountains. That's my public comment for tonight. Is there any other public comment? And Betsy, I know nothing that concerns you is on the agenda, but you most certainly could speak if you'd like to.
I'm just asking about the art wall.
Sure, go ahead.
I know we talked about this last year. I don't exactly know for sure how the town feels about extending the art walk through Fort Montgomery. I don't know if it's something you'd like to do or not like to do. I'm a little uncomfortable actually asking about it, but I guess before we do begin the fundraising, I'd just like to know if you would like it or not. And if you decide not to, that's fine. I understand. I know we talked about it at one time, you and I, Bob, and you said, you know, the town is different than the village, and I understand that. So whichever way you want to go, that's fine with me. I guess I'm just asking which way. And if you decide not to, I'm hoping that you'll still support the village. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I have a question. So you're asking us if we would like the art walk to be extended into the village, the town outside of the village?
Yes. If you do, if you are interested in that, that's definitely more of an endeavor, because in the village, it was a big undertaking. We had to raise $10,000, and we pretty much spent the majority of it. We have a little bit of grant money left, but if we're going to do it in the village, we're going to have to do a lot more fundraising. I mean, if we do it in the town, we have to do pretty much double what we did in the village. So, or not double that, but another, it would be comparable to what we did in the village.
But would you start small with?
We could start a small, we could
With
start
a
with one
few?
piece. The only problem with one piece is I kind of tried that last time, and there was some, I think people were saying, well, I want to be part of it, but I'd rather be part of it when it was an entire walk. So unless there was well, and here's the other issue too. If it's on public property, then the Chamber of Commerce can do the insurance for it. But if they can't, if it's on private property. So that would be another, because I know there were a few places people were interested in with potentially doing it on private property. But that would have to be something that was worked out. And the other thing would be there would probably need to be like a board member that would be willing to work with us. That would know, what land was private, what was public. There would be more steps. There definitely would be a lot more to it if you wanted in the town.
All right, so we're talking about, not yet, but we're kind of talking about the budget. And your request whether we should venture into you should venture into Fort Montgomery with the art walk.
Right. And I guess what I'm saying is that if you are interested in it, that will definitely be more of an investment on your end.
Can you tell me, did the village contribute out of their budget?
They
Or
did.
was it strictly
They did.
fundraising?
No,
They did.
last year they
Okay.
gave, actually, they contributed $3,000. And then they had $2,000 left from the initial first art walk. So it was I'm not expecting that much this year, but we did have two grants that, one was a $2,000 grant and one was a $2,500 grant. And if we were doing it with the town, we would try to do even more of that, and definitely ask for more grants too, because we would have a reason to. We would say, extending it, there would be more pieces. The thing about the town also is a lot of the pieces need to be on base, and those bases come from collaborative concepts, and they're not cheap, and that's. The artist stipends are about 200 a week, and we were kind of right at the base with them, and we did $200 per artist. And collaborative helped us a lot with the installation costs and things like that. But it takes a lot more than you would think. I was surprised. When they said $10,000, I thought, I'm not going to spend $10,000. I think I looked earlier today, and it's a little over $350 that we have left in one grant, and then we have about $1,000 that I'm hoping we are not going to spend that we can out to students that are just going to roll over. That's where we are, and I hope you'll consider it, but I understand whichever way. And then there's priorities. So.
I love it. I'm a huge fan of the art walk, and I love it. And I would love to see it extended and expanded, but I'm also a penny pincher, so.
Also what?
A penny pincher.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
but I'd love to hear what town residents have to say about it. Like what more actual residents, if they think that's a worthwhile venture for us to undertake.
Probably hear that more than I do. I hear it from the village.
Right.
I know the businesses in the village. We didn't have one business tell us that they weren't interested, or not one that didn't want to contribute. So that was
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I think to revitalize ourselves or reinvent ourselves, we need a reason for people to come. And the art walk, not just in the village, but extending it down to Fort Montgomery, which is beginning to grow. There are people coming before the planning board. That would be good.
I met a woman at actually, she's from Leonia, and she has been doing their art walk for about 10 years.
Cindy, would you mind, because no one at home is going to be able to hear you if you don't stand up there.
I met a woman from Leonia, and she's been doing her art walk for about 10 years. And it was actually, I'm going to go down and have lunch with her one day and just actually walk through it. But I saw her booklet that they had, and it was unbelievable. It was just beautiful. She said, it takes time. You have to just keep working at it. So anyway, it is a wonderful thing if it's possible.
If you don't mind sharing, the lady that wanted to move here with her, she was the artist that wanted to move here. I mean, that's what makes me think we could reinvent ourselves.
Yes. Her name is Barbara Galazzo. She did the piece that everybody, almost everybody, especially the women, like. It's the Namaste piece, the bird. And I've actually had a number of people ask me how much it's selling for, $6,000 in case anybody's interested. But she called and she spoke to me actually at the meet and greet, and she said, I'm looking for a place to move to. My place in Cold Spring is shutting down, and I need a new place for my gallery. And she does a lot of the stonework, and I was like, you want to move here? She said yes. Help me. She came. We walked up and down Main Street. We tried to find a place that she could afford. The rents were too high, places weren't quite big enough, except well, I shouldn't say that. There was one that she was very interested in that is for sale, but it was just out of her price range. But she said, and actually Collaborative Concepts said this too. They started in Cold Spring before Cold Spring was Cold Spring. They started in Beacon before Beacon was Beacon. And she said we were just in an old warehouse there. And she said she would rather buy because I can't remember exactly how she put it, but it was something like, when we move to an area, we tend to see within a few years the area starts to grow. And she said, and then we can't afford the rent anymore, so we want to buy so that we can actually stay and settle. But I always feel that way. I think artists add tremendous value to a community. They come in, they fix things up, they make things beautiful. And I would love to see, I was heartbroken when I heard she was going to another place, but anyway. Thank you, I appreciate listening.
We're talking about extending the art walk into the town, into Fort Montgomery.
It's great down in the village.
Yeah?
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, one of the main problems would be, as much as we like to talk about one community, which we are, for most things, one community, but the art walk in the village, no, I'm not wrong, I'm not against it, don't get me wrong, but the art walk in the village is from Memorial Park to the gate. That's it. That's Main Street, Highland Falls. We don't have a Main Street, Fort Montgomery. We have a highway. And as far as public property goes, there is no public property on 9W, is there?
Well, the
Patriot Garden.
Patriot Garden,
That's
yeah.
it.
Yeah,
The triangle that you maintain.
yes.
In
And of
fact,
course,
if they
next
were-
door.
Minuteman
If they were
statue area
appropriate, the
there.
Patriot Garden, because we wouldn't want to put something crazy in there, I mean, and there was no opposition, that would be a good place to put 2 or 3 pieces. People could stop and look at the memorial as well as
It would
the
be
art
It would be a
pieces.
perfect place.
Yeah.
And as far as the insurance goes, if it's not on public property, I don't think that's an obstacle. That could be overcome. It just happens to be the chamber is insuring them here, but if you were to put them on private properties, such as the, what's it called, fitness center there, Holly Gopi's property, even my property next door to me, there's, across the street from me, there's nothing but a trailer, and we got rid of McDonald's, but there's nothing but a trailer and
Yeah.
a used car.
There-
So there are places that are not town-owned, but there are places that they could very well fit in. And that's all sidewalks. There's, it's not as if it's not a walk, it is a walk.
Cindy did have business owners that were interested, but they didn't want just one piece.
Right.
They wanted several in the area, so, it would be like somebody would stop and walk to the different businesses or wherever in the park, and they'd see several pieces.
You get a lot of traffic through Brooks. through
Yeah, I was gonna say
Park,
Brooks and
you
what
know.
about even
Doesn't have to be on a
Mindock?
main drag. I mean, you get so many residents that are down there for other
Yeah,
things
yeah.
that might
Would
not
be
be bad.
advertised.
Well, that's the
Could
thing.
be a
like,
day in
if-
the
what if
park,
we
art in the
did-
park.
What about Mindock Park also? I mean, as
That
an
needs a little
area.
fixing up, I
Well,
think.
but
Yeah.
there's potential. That it doesn't have to be
Big
a
enough to
walk,
get-
it doesn't have to be a walkable.
It's big enough
Walk
you can
the
see it
same
from the
way.
bridge.
No,
What's
if
that?
you
It's
had
big
a
enough you can
small,
see it from the bridge.
yeah, if you had a small group in one place, people would stop and look.
Right, right.
Okay, we have the previous minutes. We have a set of minutes from the 14th, I don't know where we at here. Yeah, August the 14th.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the 14th.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. So that's the 14th. Then you also have the minutes of August the 21st, which was a budget workshop.
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes of the
Second.
21st.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
So carried. communications, I received a letter from the village directed to Mr. Harvey Green, appointing him to the Consolidated Planning Board to complete the term of James Ramus, which expires December the 31st, 2019. So we now have a complete Consolidated Planning Board,
Great.
which I'm sure Eric is happy with. You can sit over here if you want, Ty. It's up to you.
I'm sitting by you.
Yeah. We paid out on, I had to put my glasses on for this one. Boy. MJ, I'm putting glasses on, but I'll take them off in a minute. All right, okay. We paid out $89,557 on the 18th of August. Big items. There's garbage cans, as we purchased $4,877 worth of garbage cans, but we sell them as needed, so that's not actually, that's reimbursed. Landfill charges, $22,854. Cemetery mowing, $3,980. O&R utilities, $3,276. Legal services, $4,670, which I might make comment there, just so the board is aware. Our retainer for legal services is $5,200, $52,500. And Justin, the firm, has never charged us over that, even though there are months that he'll give us an itemized bill for, say, $6,000. He discounts that down to $52,000. When he comes under that, he leaves it at that number under it. So I think that's worth mentioning. I appreciate that very much, and I think the board should know that. State Controller got $21,096 on fines and fees by the court, and we paid out for fuel on our credit cards, $3,719.
How often is the landfill fee? Monthly. That's monthly?
Not on your agenda or anything else, but I think you have a copy of it. We have a budget transfer request of $140 from summer rec revenue to summer rec personal services. That's to cover payroll. Ask for a motion to approve the transfer.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried.
Kelly, that was, the kids stayed longer, or,
Actually, Aaron told me that he was going to take a look at it because he wasn't sure why he went over by.
okay, so he's going to look and, okay,
Yeah.
good. Thank you.
Liaison reports, Bill?
The supervisor has before him a proposal
They all have it, too.
I'd gotten, and the whole board, I guess you dropped in their mailboxes. I appreciate that. I'm working on a Greenway grant that's a matching grant to pay for half of this study. Where the balance comes from, I have no idea yet. I plan to reach out to a couple of local entities. Also, I've reached out to James Scoofus's office, but I just want the board to know that I am filling out this grant on behalf of the town, and I have the supervisor's name on the application as well as my own, and the due date is September 8th, so I don't know, probably won't have another opportunity to see if the board has any concerns about it, but I see it as non-binding at this juncture. If the matching grant does come in, then it will.
Bless you.
Do we need a motion of the board or anything on this, Justin?
Never hurts to have a motion approving the
Yeah.
application. Again, you're correct, it doesn't obligate you to spend the money or move forward. It just gives you the opportunity to seek the funds.
Could you maybe explain to anybody that doesn't know what the project is?
So it's Old State Road. I've always, just by where I live, I drive it, very frequently between here and the village, and you constantly see people walking, riding bikes, cadets running, riding bikes. It's it has beautiful potential, but it's quite narrow, and I see it as unsafe. I do remember us losing one of our citizens there, hitting a telephone pole. Maybe we can talk about zombie poles. But I feel there is potential there for some sort of a pathway, but I can't conceive it. And there are just so many private properties abutting it. You don't know where the property lines are, what you can do. There are geological impediments. It's a state road with the village on one side and the town on the other. So it's not the type of thing you just look at and say, hey, let's put a sidewalk here. It really merits basically tackling it like, I thought that this firm did a fantastic job of outlining the steps necessary, mapping it out, meeting with DOT, meeting with the town board, meeting with the community. I don't have all 7 steps memorized, but it's quite a bit of work just to come up with a proposal that you could then generate a proposal to do something that's shovel-ready. So I view it as a very long-term kind of thing that's overdue in the community.
I have a question, Bill. The 23,170, that's the entire project, or that's 50%?
That's the entire project. So,
Oh,
so
so-
the match is like, I'd have to come up with about 12 grand to.
Right. Well,
Opposed. Sorry. It's the entirety of what's proposed in this proposal.
Yeah,
Right.
just to come up.
That's just a
plan.
planning phase of the
yes.
project.
I think
Well,
the deliverable is something along the lines of a beautiful drawing showing the potential that was agreed
be done.
upon by a group of concerned citizens that,
Well, actually, without planning, you will be going nowhere, because most of these grants, you have to have a substantial plan in how to implement it.
and I like the aspect of engagement with DOT. This firm has done a number of, the new pathway over between Cold Spring and Beacon is their project. It's quite impressive if you haven't seen what's going on down there. So they're
I-
very well qualified. Nina worked on our master plan years ago, so she's good.
If there are no other questions, I'll make the motion to approve or authorize yourself and the supervisor to sign the paperwork to apply for the grant.
I guess I can second, I guess.
And if you can't, I will.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So carried. Very good. And you're familiar with this person, Nina?
Yes, yeah. I worked with her on the on the master plan. I actually reached out to the land trust for recommendations, and they were one of the firms that recommended.
No.
I saw her name. Okay,
Good.
it was a good fit, and they showed me the work they had done over there. I was like, okay, they know how to get things done. So.
Sounds good. So that would be the planning phase of this project?
Correct.
We're
Yeah.
applying for.
Yeah.
I know from Mine Dock Park, nobody wants to talk to anybody unless there's some sort of planning done.
Yeah.
Formal planning, not just redraw a little
Yeah.
map, what I'd like to have done. Adrian, what do you got for
Sure.
us tonight?
I don't have anything too exciting, but I did want to make mention of one thing. I started a new position in my regular life a couple weeks ago with a local nonprofit, and as a result of this, I had an opportunity to attend a focus group meeting last week regarding transit planning for Orange County. And I met one of the transit planners, Robert Parrington, who works with Colleen Solon on Dial-A-Bus. And I just wanted to give like a nice little shout out to Colleen, because he did not say enough wonderful things about her.
I know, I've met him.
He's a lovely guy. I actually got a lot of really great information from him, and he was like, she's the best Dial-A-Bus planner in the county, and just, really couldn't say enough wonderful things. So I just kind of wanted to make sure everybody knew that we have such a stellar employee working
Nice.
on our behalf, so,
That's good to know about employees that
absolutely.
are good.
Absolutely. That's it.
That's it, thank you. Jill?
Not much. There was a third shared services meeting with the county, and they're moving ahead with their plan with the radios. And they also, the town supervisors that were there and/or their representatives thought it was such a good group that they'd like to meet monthly to swap ideas. So you might be entertaining a monthly meeting occasionally.
The two of us. Okay, yeah, sure. That it?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, that's it.
Okay. We'll still get to you. A shout out to our residents that, not that we would like to have complaints about anything in the village, in the town outside the village, but if there are complaints, we most certainly would like to get them. Myself, June, any of the council people, and the chief. If you see somebody do something wrong, in particular driving, and what brings this on is I had somebody tell me about a school bus that went through the red light down while she was on the cell phone. I don't have all the information as to what time of day or anything else it was. But if we could get complete information, names are not necessary as far as the person reporting, but we need to know Officer so-and-so sat by the firehouse and watched 3 cars go through the traffic light. I just need to know what time of day this was. That's all we need, time of day. Then we know who we're talking about. So if anybody has complaints, we most certainly want to hear them, and we most certainly hope there are none. Okay? June, anything to add to that?
No. Our police are out watching traffic, so obey the laws.
Ty, you have anything for us?
Just a couple of things. Just say good evening to everyone, and especially everybody at home. Two important things I thought that happened between last meeting and this one. One is the great turnout for the last senior citizens trip. From what I understand, it was upwards to 25 people or so that ended up having a great time at the casino, and so I want to continue that.
Any big winners?
I didn't hear anything about big winners this time,
Only
so
kidding.
more to follow on that. But the caveat on that, we had a meeting with myself, the chief, and Dr. Matthews, the senior citizen coordinator, about some projects that we're planning for the future, some of which have to do with educating the senior population about threats, such as scams for various types of ways to take advantage of senior citizens. So Chief not only has come up with a great concept to be able to pitch to the seniors, but also has solicited the help of the chief of Highland Falls department as well. So I thought that was a great show of teamwork. And we don't have all the details as of right now, but I'll tell you this: it's a great plan coming forward that's going to entail education and a little entertainment. So more to follow on that.
Good. Since you have so much time to yourself, I'm going to ask Aaron to get a hold of you to go to the school and see the superintendent. We have a contract with the school concerning the recreation department using school grounds. The contract was signed in 2011, and it was supposed to be updated every 6 months. So I think I'd like to see that clause of updating every 6 months taken out and, give a way out for both the school and the town. But I think it really needs to be looked at, updated, and fixed up. So I'll get a hold of Aaron, I'll give him the contract that I have, I'll ask him to get a hold of you, and then you can represent the town and go with Aaron up there.
Sounds good.
We have kept up with our insurance. I don't understand why we haven't done another contract or updated the contract each year.
Absolutely right.
Yeah, it was 2011 it was signed.
Certainly, as you said, the term can be much longer. It's
Yeah.
not necessary to
Yeah.
constantly, but
Yeah,
there should be.
Or until canceled, as long as there's insurance out there. Because there was an accident on school grounds that prompted this. Which is no problem, it's all being taken care of, and the insurance was there, but it is being taken care of. But the contract isn't there, and it should be. The contract is very broad, too, by the way. It basically says we can use anything up there. And I don't think they really mean that. But as long as the school's not using it, then we should, of
Well, they
course.
might have at the time, but I'm sure they're probably rethinking that.
Yeah, yeah, and they should. We should not have access to everything they have up there. Anyway, Chief, do you have anything for us?
No, sir, I think everything was covered, thank you.
Okay, Kelly, do you have anything for us?
Budget thing.
Okay, then the next thing on the agenda is the tax cap. Now, you all know that we're in trouble, if that's the right word for it. We're doing our best to maintain the budget under the tax cap. Once before, we were in this situation a few years back, maybe 4 years back, and we did the necessary procedure to be able to override the tax cap. I'm asking the board to do that again, just in case, and I emphasize, just in case we need it. Now, should we need it, whether we go over by $100 or we go over by $500,000, should we need it, we need to have it in place. If the tax cut, and Kelly, if I'm saying anything wrong, or Justin, if we don't have it in place and we still go over the tax cap, then those monies are put into a reserve fund, and you have to play hell to get the money out of that reserve fund. If we have the tax cap in place and say we go over it by 500,000, big number, but that's not going to happen. That's where our budget is set for the next year. It's set at that number, not retroactive to what we did have before we went over the tax cap. So that's a good thing, because then you would look at it the following year, it might be a little bit easier to stay under the tax cap. So anyway, before we get into this, is there any discussion? Anybody want to talk about it? Any questions about it? In particular, Ty, you're kind of the new guy on that.
No questions. I pretty much understand it.
Yeah, like you said, it's a just-in-case measure. The only downside of it is political, put your name on something like that. But I don't expect us to have to use it, but...
And by voting on the budget, you can always, you can
We might
always
not
deny
have to
it.
use it.
Yeah.
Right. It's a precautionary measure only.
I'm fine with the motion. I'll make a motion that we approve the resolution.
So the resolution, just so everyone's
Yeah,
clear.
yeah, let's- what's the
This has
procedure?
to be done by local law process, so the resolution approves a public hearing at your next regular meeting, which I believe is, I didn't confirm dates, it's September 11th.
Yes.
So it's set the public hearing, it is based on the law, which is very straightforward, which just gives you the ability, if needed, to override.
So it's a motion to set a public hearing on the...
September the 11th.
Local law,
That's the date,
which is
local law number 2, and the meeting will be held
September 11th.
September 11th at 7 o'clock?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
oh,
No,
The meetings
hey,
are starting at.
okay.
At
Yes, so you
6.
want a
At
public
6.
hearing at 6?
At 6, yes.
6 o'clock.
Yep.
You know the Patriot Garden ceremony?
Yeah, I know, and Doris knows that we have a meeting. And I'm not saying either one should be changed, I'm just saying that, well, we'll look around. We're not hurting them, they're not hurting us. It's sad that we can't be there, but I told her that I strongly feel that if you will have a holiday like September the 11th, that's the day it should be. So, I'm sorry they conflict, but
But it is budget time, and we need to work on that.
so anyway, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
And do we need a roll call on this? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Voltaire?
Nay.
Councilmember Gonza?
Aye.
Councilmember King?
Aye.
Councilmember Edsel?
Aye.
Supervisor Livesey?
Aye. Okay. Do we have any other business? Anybody? Any other business?
Public comment after the budget, or I
Well-
don't see anything, but.
Well, there's nobody here for public comments, I ain't worried about that part. And, so,
I'm sorry, I'm
Yeah.
trying to, I owe the solar guy a call. I expect to try to work out a chance for him to present to the town board what they can do for the town buildings in the near future. Try to get him lined up for Thursday,
Good. Very good.
get it on the agenda.
Before you two guys came, I made a nice eloquent little speech, which I'll summarize, that how lucky we are to be sitting here running our little town or our little town government and not somewhere down in Texas. With what's going on down there, it's just, it's mind-boggling. What do you do? What do you do when basically some of them, your town's gone? It's just gone. There's no town there. I guess you don't get paid if the town's gone.
Well, pretty much, was it Long Island with Sandy? I mean, places were all wiped out there,
Yeah.
too.
MJ, you wanted to say something?
No, I do have a comment, you just reminded me.
Yes.
As you know, my daughter was a summer rec counselor, and the way the payroll fell this year, they got paid this past Friday for 1 week. And so that was $224. And she bought a book, she's back in school now, a book today for $223. So, thanks, Council.
Wow.
Yeah. Still doing
Okay.
books, huh?
223.
Not putting them on iPads yet.
No, this one is partial. It was a book and a computer code.
Okay.
Because you do the work online, but you have the book.
Yeah,
It's
something wrong there.
But yes, some of the books that,
Yeah.
$7.99.
Yeah.
All right, Kelly, you want to join us over here?
Thank you all.
Oh, you leaving?
You all be able to focus.
All right.
No distraction.
Never was a numbers man.
Justin, you dropped something.
Oh.
Drop it
Got in the car in case you get stuck somewhere. Good night.
Colleen is here.
Yeah, so we should probably do that.
Yeah. I thought this would be best.
Yeah.
Through that application, I have to go through.
Yes.
Hi, Colleen.
Hello, hello.
I think I might have it somewhere.
You had a nice
Text it to
trip
you right
out
now.
to the Great Lakes there?
Short and sweet. Short and sweet.
Very good.
Hello.
Good. How are you? You didn't give us, we should have kept it from last week.
Yes.
Okay.
I can't hear you at all.
That's okay, that's better than.
It's better that way. No, I didn't, but thank you.
Thank you. I talked to her before, but I didn't tell her I was going to embarrass her.
We did talk before.
You got it there? Good, I'll share with you then, Kai. Okay, Dial-A-Bus Manager, what do you got for us?
I have my 2018 budget. The only thing that I did increase was other expenses. I do not know how much a new computer costs. I averaged 2,000 because 6 years ago, when they did the computer, it was like 1,500 and change with a 5-year extended warranty.
Where did the computer come
It would be
from?
like between $500 and $600 for a new computer.
New computer and service, so obviously, I way over budget. I was just going by 6 years ago when Roger did the computer for me. And the only reason I'm asking for this is because Orange County has a program which is called Trans Am Trainer. I do everything through that I have to report in. Also, the download for the monitor for the bus, the surveillance camera, I have to download every 3 months. Right now, Kelly will tell you, my computer smokes at times. It overheats, you know. That's
Kelly,
my.
don't we have a separate account for IT, or are we?
Yeah, we use that sometimes if someone hasn't budgeted and their computer kind of dies during the course of the year.
Yeah.
And sometimes when it's planned, like Colleen is doing, they'll put it in their own budget.
All right, okay. So it makes no difference which way we do it?
No.
So we could drop that from 21 to 700.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
New Windsor will purchase it and set it
Yes.
up and install it.
Exactly, and they buy off state bid.
Right.
That's wonderful to know.
Yep.
Yeah, that's really a low cost. So that's the only the high item. I basically kept everything else.
Increasing that by 1,400?
Bring it down to 700, is that, yeah.
Are we talking the 2,100, you're gonna bring down to 700?
Right.
Bring down 700 or
Bring
two?
down to 700, so instead of 2,100, it's now 700.
I increased maintenance by $1,000 because this year in January, I already went through that $1,000. 1, 2, 3. Unbeknownst to me, there was some mechanical issues that arose when the DOT inspector came.
Is that bus due to be replaced?
This bus is in bid to be replaced. Probably by October of 2018 it'll come in.
So it's really, we need the budget for 2000.
Yeah, exactly, June. I would love to tell you that it's going to be sooner, but the correspondence I got from Rob of June, it's still in process kind of thing. It depends on the feds, on how much, and then it goes out to contract. It's like this bus, we got it late in October, so
Right.
I say October of 2018, so that means I have to run this bus. I can honestly tell you, the only thing that I'm cringing about for repair for quote this year is every year it's the heating. Other than that, I'm keeping it basic. I don't want to shoot myself and go under for 2018, seeing that I have to keep it until October.
And what year is this bus we have now?
This bus right now is 5 years old.
5 years? Okay.
It's due for replacement. They usually replace them every 5 years.
Okay.
That's why it's in the contract.
What the mileage is?
Right now, the mileage is 59,862.
Jesus. All right, next.
Training minimal. I have to get recertified as soon as they have a class, what's called a bayfish training class. It's required for me to have that in order to run the bus. Everything else, I kind of like basically brought in the same. So with that tentative budget before Kelly said about New Windsor IT, I came in with 686 less than last year. And I'll let the board decide on whatever the percentage of raise is.
Why is the full-time and the part-time drivers, why is that less?
In 2017, that figure, June, was Patty's old salary.
Okay.
That is, the 2018 one is Debbie McCabe's current salary. Part-time, I decreased by 323, only going by the figures. that we presently are showing, I came in with less, even though I hope to do more. And that did come in handy, June. The full-time driver, having the extra in there that we didn't pay out to Debbie, helped offset the cost of the repairs on the bus, or I would have been short.
Very good.
Yeah,
Good job.
revenues,
Revenue, you know,
gonna go up a little bit.
I'm hoping, yes, Bill, I'm really hoping with the bus fares, because I'm getting a lot of more, quote, regular riders, as opposed to seniors. Now, with more activities going on at the senior center, I'm hoping to get more riders.
What's the cost of a ride, Colleen?
It's $1 each way for from 4 to 59. 60 and over, it's 50 cents each way. And for Medicaid recipients, it's 50 cents each way. And handicap is 50 cents each way. Basically, those are standard throughout the county.
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah, yes.
Now, but they're not set by the county?
No.
Okay, so,
We have to, if we were to raise our rates, we have to go through a process that the county requires. I have to advertise it for 30 days. Then we have to have a public hearing to say, yes, to let the public
Okay.
know that we are raising them.
I don't have anything more. Adrian, June?
No, finding
Aye.
that reducing the computer line.
Bill, you got
of your
anything?
budget down, so.
Oh, I still have my old spiel about program in general. I think Colleen, I believe you're doing a fantastic job. and
Thank you
everything,
very
but
much. I appreciate that, Bill.
Still, the competition is coming, and it's coming in the face of Uber, and which is less than $10 a trip, and we're well north of $20 a trip right now. So we're paying. I see it as, if there's budget pressure, and not every community in the county does this, provides this service. So it's-
It's good. Colleen, your riders that are the dollar riders, is that like, do they ride every day, or is that like once in a while, or?
They become more steadily for jobs. McDonald's was the main supplier of a lot of rides to get the people back and forth to work. A lot of people through advertising, and thankfully to Aaron, because I'm not computer savvy, putting it on Facebook and on the webpage. I have him to thank. Word is getting out more and more that we are not just for senior citizens. And that's something that's always battled, because the seniors do believe that this is their bus. And it's like, come pick me up, we're done at the senior center. Well, I can't do that. I have other riders. But it's our bus. No, it's not your bus, kind of thing. I know, Ty, on your end, you've had a village senior, and there was talks about Sundays. I did advertise, and I have not gotten any response for Sunday use. If that was to happen, how is that going to affect my budget for a part-time driver? I can make it work. But now there comes the fact of, now I got to get a staff. And that is what I'm battling right now. I only have 2 part-timers.
we have Vinnie and Bill.
I have Vinnie and Billy O'Dell. And yes, I thank this entire board for allow me to hire Debbie McCabe last year. I think she's a wonderful asset and does a lot that people do not see. She will do a Saturday to fill in. She is an asset, so I thank all of you. I really do.
Question I have for you, Colleen. So, when the bus is scheduled to be replaced, what happens to the old bus?
The old bus is technically property of the county. We can purchase that bus. That's our option.
The neighborhood, what, 3,000, I think you told me?
The last bus went for $3,000. Yes.
Remember I mentioned that before.
Right,
It's a
you
good
mentioned that, that's
bus.
what I
Yeah,
recall.
yeah,
And
yeah.
also, I've been in discussions with the seniors about that possibility of having a dedicated transportation to them, whether it's a van like Cornwall or whether it's this additional bus that is available next year.
As soon as, what happens is Rob will be in contact with me saying, okay, this is the bid, this is how much you have to work with. We were fortunate last time, we did not have to put any town money out. Talking with Rob and going to meetings, it looks like we're going to be that fortunate again this year, into 2018. Then he'll tell me, okay, is the town going to purchase the bus, kind of thing? And he will give an X amount before it goes out to bid. So we will have that option.
Okay, thank you.
Sounds good. Bill, you still looking at numbers, or can Colleen,
Yeah, well,
call it a
I'm
night?
saying the cost, what I have down, cost to the town actually is $47,500, because you don't see the benefits in this number. Like last year's numbers, and they're rounded off, so.
Yeah, when I do my yearly report, I have to incorporate, even when I do my quarterly, I incorporate what the town pays for Debbie's health insurance. Debbie and I are part of the retirement system. Still waiting for money. Usually I would be notified in August. Okay, yeah, it's still technically August, about money from the federal government, which is called 5307 funds. As of us talking right now, I have not. And that's always so lag behind, Kelly will tell you. I mean, we just got 2014 check in last year.
Does the money, sound like the county is like a pass-through, or as far as the fund, like the state plus aid, or is that county aid? Or is that, so that comes from the state, and then there's money from the federal government?
The federal government is the one that always lacks. We're always like 3 years behind.
And then the county provides the bus, or do they get money from the state, or?
The county cuts us, every quarter, I have to give to Kelly, Bob signs off, we have to pay what's called our part share. And then we get a check like every 3 months in roughly the amount of $2,200. It's based on our ridership. To increase that money, this year, I found out through Rob, and given the situation, I am putting in $50 per hour when the mechanic works on the bus, in hopes that we can get some of that more extra money back. But
Nice.
there's will, there's a way, you know?
Well,
Nice.
actually, it is devoting his time to the program, so that's good.
Yeah, it was, a few trips out with Rob and sitting down and seeing what we could do to help add some more income. And
Thank you very much, Colleen.
thank you. Have a great evening. And again, thank you for my full-time driver.
Other person.
Have a good one.
Yeah, take care.
Kelly, while it's on my mind from Time Warner, Charter, whatever the hell they are they on time with their check? Are we due a check? We get it twice a year.
Yes, I think we've gotten one this year.
Okay. So they're about due for, I don't know. Just curious because, we're messed up with the contract again. The only contract we have with Time Warner is the one I signed when I was supervisor back in the 90s.
Actually, at the end of June, we didn't receive anything
Okay.
yet. July.
Okay. No, yeah. I just don't want that to, get lost over the. I've had 3 different area supervisors. First of all, I get an introduction who our area supervisor is. Then I get a letter from them saying, oh, your contract is outdated, we need a new contract. They send me a draft. I send them the draft back saying, we need you to take care of our equipment. That's the only thing that's missing in your contract. That's it. I don't hear from them again. So anyway, yeah. So as long as they're sending us the check and taking care of our equipment, I don't care. I don't care if I get a contract. We're not going to get any more or any less, so that's fine. All right, what's next, Cal?
We'll do mine next.
I don't care.
This is from last week.
Oh, I ain't got that one either. You should have told me to bring this up.
I did.
Yeah, she did.
Boy, oh, boy, no you didn't. When?
Check your email.
Last week.
Last week, but we didn't finish it.
You know I don't open emails from you.
I know you.
Okay.
You don't have it?
No, I don't have, but I'll share with Ty.
It's about flat, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
that's not, it's pretty much,
It's pretty much flat.
pretty much flat. Next.
Yeah, there you go. Where are you going?
The Yankees are coming on.
Oh.
I think I'm. See how it is.
I realize we messed you up on September 11th.
I'll just go there.
Hi, MJ.
Okay, so my budget pretty much stays the same. Salary line, we'll talk about again when we do the salary schedule, or when we get later on in the budget process. I increased contracted expenses slightly, that's for our new software. And that's the only change there. Postage. Thank you. Okay. The audit stays the same. Revenues I actually brought down a little bit, and that was for, the refund of prior year expenses was an item that had to do with the Water District 2 from prior years, and during the last audit, the auditors and I changed the way the accounting is going for that, so that line isn't there anymore. That's the difference there.
On that, I know it's not part of your budget, but you mentioned something about, I asked you about the audit, and you said something about the water, the whatever have you. Is that the same deficiency they found last year?
No, so it's not a deficiency. What they found, we're wrapping up the 2016 audit. So they do a reconciliation of the water.
That was this year.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So they're doing a reconciliation of water and sewer receivables, and what that amounts to is they take, we ran an outstanding receivables report from our current software, and then you would take last year's receivable, add what you billed, subtract what you collected, and that should be the same as the outstanding receivables report, and it was off. And it's because the report in Springbrook doesn't work. That's the problem. And I'm working on the new software that the board approved for me, and the holdup right now is that I need a database from Springbrook, and they're not providing it. The last correspondence I had from them was actually last week, and they said, well, we're going to have to charge you for that. And I said, well, what's the fee? And they still haven't gotten back to me, and I email them every day. So they're really, they're really dragging their feet on this, and it's slowing us down. I wanted it in place before the next water billing, and I don't know if that's going to happen. So I'll be on the phone again with them tomorrow. But that's what the issue with the water and sewer was. That report is just not accurate
Yeah,
that comes out of
good.
Springbrook, so.
Very good.
Okay, so, and then, I brought up our sales tax revenue, because we've been a little bit over budget in the B fund, collected more than we budgeted for, so I bumped that up, by $20,000. The next page, we had been, I had been recording some interest from our reserve funds, but it's really so minimal that it's not even worth, it's just not even worth budgeting.
And that's 0.3%?
Yes, exactly, exactly. And that's really all there is on my budget.
Beautiful.
Unless anybody has any questions.
I got the Light District here.
You do?
Yeah.
That's not next.
That's not next.
Oh, okay.
IT. Your IT budget, I changed, so I have new ones for you. Because I got an email from New Windsor IT that the server in Town Hall server is going to have to be replaced. The warranty is up. So I have a new IT budget. I know, it's $5,500. Here's your new IT budget. And you're welcome. So I had increased our equipment line, and both lines of IT went up. As of last year, we changed the way we were housing our email, so it's a little more expensive than it used to be. And then I added in $5,500 for a new server, and I brought an explanation from IT. I know.
That's for the server, the one down there in the server room? that's
Yes.
the server, And that's roughly $5,000?
$5,500. Let me see if I brought his,
Kelly, do we still have that program that I think we paid for? That
iPrism?
iPrism.
We do still have iPrism. So we use it for, it does kind of block known virus-bearing websites, so people can't access them, or websites that would definitely not be work-related. People would go to them.
Well, I'll tell you why I ask, and I'll share it with the world, I guess, here. But I'm seriously considering some sort of a ban on cell phones in the town hall. There are certain employees that are abusing it something terrible. And if I ban cell phones in the town hall, we would have to put this program back on, because if you don't have your cell phone, you're going to the computer.
It's still there, and we're still paying for it, whether we're using it very tightly or very loosely. The cost is the same, so it's in there. And then, as far as the cell phone policy goes, another department head had approached me about it. So I do have sample cell phone policies,
Let's look at it.
Okay, I do have a
next couple
sample.
days.
Okay. So here's what I have from IT. It was Patrick Mangan in New Windsor IT. He said, as you get ready to do the budget for next year, we should look at replacing the main town hall server. It is end of life and the warranty cannot be extended any further. Would you like me to get a price quote together for you for budget purposes? And then he said, let's go with $5,500 for the budget. I'm aiming high, but will likely come in lower. But he didn't elaborate on what likely would come in lower. So, I mean, maybe we could put in $5,000 instead of $5,500. So the thing with the server,
How much do we have in the IT budget for
everything else?
Well, for buying, if we haven't budgeted.
Oh, so what's in there now is your equipment line was $1,800. I bumped it up to $7,500. That's I had gone to 2,000 for other stuff, and then 5,500 for the server, which is $7,500. And then the contractual is 15,000, and that's the bill we pay each month.
Okay, do we have money set aside anywhere for IT, other than just in the budget?
No, just
Okay.
what's in the budget. There's no reserve fund or anything
All right, I
like
was
that.
under the impression-
Yeah.
Like the main server, you don't think that's town hall reserve qualifying?
I suppose it could be.
I would just
I mean, it is a
circle
piece of capital, right? It's a $5,500 server.
I was just sitting here and hearing people struggle with the air conditioner, for about $4 or $5 grand, you could get like Red K or a split system in here that would be super quiet. That'd be the same problem to report.
What's that got to do with a server?
Well, if you're going to go to
Town hall.
reserve,
I'm just kidding.
you have to do a motion
Yeah.
and
You have to have a
Yeah,
permissive referendum, I think.
something fancy, so.
yeah.
Do- do we
For
have any
100,
idea
might as well
what's in
take
that
like 10
reserve?
grand out, or if you have anything else on your mind.
No, it's a good idea.
Because the thing is with the server, you don't want it to crash.
Oh,
Because then we're out 3 days, that's, so the town hall repair reserve fund has $80,000 in it. I will mention that we haven't funded it in the last several years. I did ask June, although, we're not on her budget tonight, but I did ask her if she wanted to revisit that. She said no. So, but, we might want to think about it when we're
Yeah.
doing all the reserve funds.
Right, we really need to look at all the reserve funds if we can.
In
even a little
total.
bit, But they should be growing.
And then, while we're talking about that, it's a little off topic from IT. I was talking to, I think it was Pat Patterson this afternoon, and I think for the next budget meeting, or maybe the one after that, I'm going to try and put together for the board a list of the vehicles we have. Pat has a great list of his equipment, but I think we need a list of everybody else's vehicles, what year they are, what the mileage is, maybe what they've spent on repairs in the last year or two.
Actually, I thought
To look at the
Pat
whole,
was doing that.
Oh,
Because we had talked
is he?
about
He did
it.
that for his vehicle.
he's got it for his stuff,
He's
right.
for
I'm talking
everything.
about the recreation vehicle and the building.
When Pat for him to send me his, and I was just gonna add a couple more columns and
But we
this
took-
and the
we
blank
talked to
section.
Pat downstairs one morning, and that was a suggestion, if. as
Maybe
long
he
as
and I
he's
can
the
get together and
maintenance-
do that.
The maintenance and mechanic up there, to get every vehicle down on paper, and then it would be easy for him and for us when we're talking about
Maintenance
vehicles.
spend,
Right.
when do you expect to need to replace it?
Yeah, we really need like a master vehicle,
Yeah, absolutely.
so, anyway, but back to
I like the idea of
IT.
using the reserve funds for the server. And
I don't see why not.
Sounds-
It's a town hall
I'm gonna
thing.
take that back down
But
to
we
Yep.
make sure
2,000.
it's
Mhm.
permissible, because it's not repairs.
I don't have,
And see how it's written,
yeah,
to make sure you can include that.
yeah, okay.
I'm all for it, as long as it's allowable to take
Right,
out
no,
of
I
there.
understand. So, if we can use reserve fund.
We'll just bill break it. Needs to be repaired.
Okay. Okay, so that's IT. All right, next
officer.
is Personnel and Budget Officer.
Which is the same, okay.
Oh, this is my old.
There's a $40 change.
There's a $40
$40
change for personnel. I went from 460 back up to 500. With the hopes again, once again, of updating that handbook, which desperately needs it. Budget officer stays the same. And the reason, Adrian, before you ask, the reason I haven't spent the $200 in other expenses,
It already went to the
at the end of the
bottom line.
budget season, I charge all this paper.
No.
Okay, so that 500 is, it's funny, I'm glad that's in there, because I was gonna ask you, who did the handbook? We really need a professional.
We
to look
really
at
do.
it.
We really,
Not in-house, because the federal laws and things that have changed, we're not gonna know.
yeah, agreed. Now, Marshall and Sterling, a few years ago, for a very reasonable price, would go through it. So, you know, like anything, I never have the time. So, we can, I'll try and move it back up.
But even if, I mean, updating things that we have changed, but there are certain things that you're not gonna know. they're not
Oh,
gonna
absolutely.
know,
I'm not a
That's right.
HR expert by any
And
stretch.
you're certainly not, you don't have the time to be reading all the federal regulations.
So, anybody have anything on these two? No, ma'am. Okay. Been right through.
I'm sorry. Last week was
Kelly, if you can
exhausting.
get Marshall and Sterling to hook up with me on the handbook,
Okay.
I'd be glad to sit down with them and take it on as a project with them.
Okay. Okay, so now we're all done, oh no, central services. So central services, oh, and zoning, that's the other one. Central services is a department that we set up 2 years ago that encompasses police and ambulance expenses that are directly related to the building, not just ambulance or just police. So it's, you know, building maintenance and the heat and things like that. So I wasn't too sure, you know, I did this budget myself and I wasn't too sure what I was, you know, looking at here. So I did have a conversation with Pat Patterson today about it. And he gave me a few things, generator maintenance, AC maintenance, the furnace and things like that, but they were pretty minimal costs. So I think keeping it, we went up a little bit on building improvements for all the generator maintenance and those types of things, from $5,520 to $6,000. The utilities I kept the same, so there's a slight increase in that.
Is that covering the utilities?
Yes,
Okay.
it is.
Because then.
If anything, it might be a little high.
Okay.
what's budgeted.
Last year before, they're really running short on that.
No, last year, last year was 15,000 budgeted and about 10,000 used.
Maybe a year before, I seem to remember 1 year.
Yeah,
But last year was the first year we did central
Yeah,
services,
right.
so there was nothing the year before.
right.
It might have been in the police or the ambulance, separate
And
budgets.
I
Right,
think it
right.
was to do with the, like the maintenance on the air conditioner.
Right, they had a
generator.
problem, right, with the heat down there?
Also, yeah, there was a heating problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
And in fact, Pat, this is better, if Pat could keep an eye on it, rather than two halves of the building.
exactly.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of keeps it in one umbrella. And I did talk to Pat this morning about this budget, so.
You don't think we can keep the building improvements at 5?
Well, he's concerned about the maintenance issues, but I will say, I think that we could probably, like, kind of split the difference and lower the utilities a little bit. I think we're
Okay.
gonna be okay on there. I could bring them down like to 9,000, and then it stays flat.
Cool. I like it.
You're making it 9,000 even, or?
Yeah, I'll make it 9,000. And I think it'll be fine with that. Okay, and this is zoning, the next one is zoning. And then we're all done with last week's budgets, and we can do this week's. Okay, so zoning, I spoke to Jack Janarone, he and I went through it together, and the only thing we changed was legal services, which he increased by $1,000. He's short on legal for the current year, and that legal is, I'm sorry?
Is that police?
Yes,
And she's expensive.
she is expensive.
They should be looking for comparative prices.
I can talk to Jack about that, because it has been expensive. Most of the legal expenses for zoning, if it's applicant-specific, it gets charged back to the applicant, but there is general zoning legal expenses, and that's what this is for. So,
I know somebody showed me one of her bills, and it was,
she's expensive.
Yes.
She charges for travel.
Police,
Terhune. She used to be with,
over to Lubitz,
That's
and
it.
then she moved to some group in
Lewis and
Jersey,
McKenna.
And then she stuck out on her own.
Right. So she does. She charges for
Preparations before the
yes.
meeting?
And she charges for travel, things that we generally aren't charged for by other attorneys. So, so I'll talk to,
Yeah, let him get a couple of quotes. Because otherwise, he's gonna have a certain amount of money and he's gonna run out of services because the money's gonna be gone.
he did run out in 2017, this year. You know, we were able to move, I think he did budget transfers at the last meeting for
Yeah.
zoning.
We did.
And that's why. Okay. So tonight, we have, the historian.
Her budget is flat and she'll
Her
spend,
budget
and
is
she'll
flat.
spend every penny of
And she
it.
will spend all of it. She did put in a nice note, which I don't know if I gave you guys
So are we
copies of.
finished with zoning?
I think so. Well, should I put it on the list to revisit the legal?
Yes.
Yeah.
And for tonight, so far, that's the, I mean, I have some things I'm going to change, but the list of things to go back and revisit right now is just zoning, legal. Just to make sure I didn't miss anything. Pardon me? Making a note, Bill. So, Stella Bailey wrote, "My 2017 budget has been sufficient for my current needs, so I would be pleased to continue in 2018 with the same amounts. Therefore, I do not need to attend the August 28th historian budget meeting." Stella.
Right.
Does anyone have
Sounds good to me.
anything? Or we're good on historian?
All right.
We're carrying the whole thing down.
We are.
Yeah.
We are. And have been for a few years. Association dues. That's called special items.
Are we carrying the other expenses as well? We're carrying our entire budget? There's no sharing at all?
I mean, I didn't look at their budget, the village budget, to actually see what's in it, but I think we're carrying the whole thing.
I think weren't we splitting the utilities or something?
Well, they provide
'cause they
the,
provide-
they
'cause
provide the
yeah.
building,
Yeah,
the-
so
the
they have
space.
some hand in it, but.
but I think we're paying everything
The
else.
copy machines,
Right,
paper,
there's
stuff like that.
some-
utilities, that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
So we're looking
Not
at
coffee
special
pots,
items?
though, we supply the coffee pot.
It's always a good thing to keep back. Yeah, holidays.
Special items, just the only,
What do we have?
the only,
Something
special
like that.
items, the only line in there I have ready so far was, the association dues, which is the same as last year. For the time being, I left the liability insurance the same. We have a meeting set up, I think, first week in September with Scott, first or second week in September
Is that
with
an
Scott.
email?
Yeah, it was an
Yeah.
email. So we'll be discussing our general liability insurance with Scott. I have to say, since Bob kind of held his feet to the fire, he's done much better job
Oh, yeah.
with our insurance. I also plugged in for the contingent accounts for the A and the B fund, the same amount we've had each year, 50,000 in the A fund and 35,000 in the B fund. None of which we used in 2016 and none of which we've used so far in 2017, which is a good thing. MTA tax isn't done yet because I haven't done the benefits.
What's that thing for the municipal association?
You have,
Oh, yeah.
I know. We can revisit it.
Yeah, I mean, just as, for very long, everyone else, we needed $1,550 to get under the cap.
I wouldn't argue with you.
Ever since that book, was long, yes, the building this out.
Oh, the book was wrong.
Yeah. Well, the good book says that.
Well, where I became upset with them is going back to my other term, when the mayor won the election and we had a mayor supervisor, I went to the Association of Towns and said, can they do this? Well, we don't want to question it because we don't want to open up a can of worms. That was their answer. So I thought, okay, it's fine with me. It's over, it's a done deal anyway, but,
I
yeah.
think they're rather good. They're advocates for.
Anyway, moving
What's
on.
next?
Legal. So there's legal. Besides Justin, there's legal expenses in the assessor's budget, which is on here. She did give me her budget already, even though we haven't done it. And she lowered her legal. Jean Tallman did slightly. Justin's I kept the same. I will comment that I called Justin last week and asked him if he was going to keep his rates the same. And he did indicate to me that he was going to ask for a 1% increase this year. And I asked him to please send a letter to all of you, and I called him this morning, and I said, Justin, I didn't get anything from you. And he said, oh, never mind.
After what I said tonight, I'm sure he's not.
But I just wanted to because what you're talking about is $600 a year. The proposal he had was $600 a year, when the fact is there's probably at least 3 months a year where he doesn't even meet the retainer, the minimum. So I don't know if you want to revisit that or you want to just leave him flat the way he is. I just thought I would mention it.
Well, what you can do is, like, evenings like tonight,
Oh, turn the mic.
evenings like tonight, we probably could have called them off. And, you don't see anything, if you see it getting high or, you want to keep him happy where he doesn't feel like he needs to raise the ratings, so.
True. So. And then zoning we just discussed in the zoning budget, and planning I had blank because I just got the planning budget a few hours ago, so, and honestly, I haven't even looked at it, 2,500, I haven't looked at his budget yet. So, and then on the B fund side, there's some general legal services there for work, usually it has to do with police. The court prosecutor is, I increased it from $12,000 to $12,600. It's $1,000 a month, but there are occasionally like reimbursements for postage and that type of thing that goes in there. And, because you see, last year we were over budget by $525. So I added $600 there. And then there is no B fund planning anymore.
So that's interesting. So you think a majority of that 12,000 is police related? You didn't have
Yes,
a police department, you wouldn't have that 12,000.
yes.
Why?
Well-
What did they use for 12,000, please?
Well, it depends on if there's any PBA issues,
Yeah.
like if there's a separate bill from Justin for things like that, which there is occasionally, we'll break out,
We can point to who's causing those bills, and it's not Justin, although it is one person.
the bill is itemized, and so like his $60,000 retainer, there's $57,000 goes to the A fund, $3,000 goes to the B fund, and then if there's additional legal expenses due to, whatever it may be, which happens, you can see, history, 5,000, 4,000. This year already we're at 3,000, could go higher. It will go higher.
Or we have contract negotiations.
Right.
Wherever it is starting.
So it's going to go up. But I lowered it, actually, for this year, from 15 to 12.
I don't mean to interrupt, but.
No, that's fine.
I put the PBA contract in everyone's basket, so, like last meeting. So take a look if there's suggestions or desires, we'll use those as negotiating points. I don't think they're willing to negotiate your
I know.
ultimate goal.
Well, the ultimate, but just D-line. But the threat of this, getting rid of the whole force has to be there, otherwise you don't have much leverage with those guys.
Actually, there was someone who's very good at bringing that point out last time, you. And it, we didn't get very far with it.
I mean, you can go to the table with them and say, if this goes bad, there are at least 2 votes on the board right now that will get rid of the whole show. Just say, county, it's all yours,
But if there's anything in
All they have to do is
addition
get you
that-
real pissed off. That's it. No, really, I was like, the last time this happened, I was like, Beeline, I'll give you a 10% raise. It's just, you know, and they didn't want it. Oh, safety issue.
Okay, Kelly.
The light district stayed the same, it's $52,000.
I feel like you were there, the auditing guys, were you were the point of contact. Have they?
For the lights?
Yeah. Have
Yeah.
they called you
No.
or anything?
Nope, I haven't heard
I don't
anything.
dig up my emails unless you have something. Say, hey.
I don't have
guys, what's
anything.
up?
Oh, you want me to reach out to them?
If
Who
it's
was it
easy.
again?
I know, I can't, I have to go through my emails.
If you find the email, I'll follow up, if you let me know who.
Are we doing planning board?
We can, I haven't looked at it myself. I got it late today. And Eric did say he couldn't make it tonight. Generally, he does come, so if you want to put it off,
The personal
especially since it's
services has
the,
gone up quite a bit. I think we need an explanation of that.
so
Because the first 3 months,
let,
we were only paying for our own, not the joint board.
All right.
he has explanations in here.
No, there's
That would be
nothing
This-
this
there.
year's. That's what you're seeing this year, you mean? or-
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, not for the next budget.
for this coming budget.
Yeah.
Right.
But
This
next
requested
budget is.
2018.
The next budget is for 12 months of 5 people.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah, okay.
And he's also, if you look at his notes, though, he's got something about the secretary in here. Oh, the employee line. He went from 1,800, the second line, that's the secretary, from
Yeah.
1,800 to 2,400. And it says, this line is salary for the board secretary. I'm allocating enough to pay a salary of $200 a month to potentially use the secretary for more than simply recording minutes.
Maybe struck from, next time ask him.
Do you want him to come in and we'll just do his meeting, his board, his budget when he comes in? Okay. I'll move him to another meeting.
So, remember to tuck this one aside.
I just have one more thing I
so
want to
we have
open.
it for next meeting.
Move
Thank you, sir.
planning.
As we're looking at these budgets and talking about tax cap and what have you, I think we all have to realize that the court revenue is down dramatically.
It is,
Really?
yes.
I'm not sure how much of a shortfall there's going to be, but there's definitely going to be a large shortfall.
Yes.
For no particular reason, other than that's the way it is. The village is down, the state revenue's down.
It's all down.
Actually, the village is not making any.
Is that the-
So I just want to mention about that tax cap, about the local law to override the tax cap and having it in place just in case. Adopting the law, as you know, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to exceed the tax cap. And I just want to read what happens if we do exceed the tax cap without having the local law in place. It's to me, it's not very clear, so maybe we can kind of go through it together. The tax cap reserve, because if we go over the tax cap, whatever the difference between the tax cap and the amount that's in excess of the tax cap has to go into a reserve fund if you haven't adopted the local law. So, the tax cap reserve consists of the amount that the local government placed in reserve, including any interest, for exceeding the tax cap in the prior year. And then it says, when an excess tax levy has been identified and set aside in reserve, the law requires that the excess levy plus any interest earned must be used to offset the tax levy in the coming fiscal year. There are 2 steps involved in order to accomplish this, and then there's a form and then an offsetting tax levy. So what I'm reading this to be is that if you don't adopt the local law and you exceed the tax cap, you put that money in reserve, and then you have to use that money the next year to lower your tax, which could leave you in an even bigger deficit the next year. So by adopting the local law, if you exceed the tax cap, you just, because you've adopted the local law, you just levy the tax you need to fulfill your budget requirements for the year, and it doesn't affect the year after that. That's what I'm reading when I read this. So I just wanted to let you know what you know, all of the ramifications of these issues are.
Everybody
So the
okay?
board, like, if you're gonna blow it, you might as well blow the heck out of it.
Doesn't matter if you go over it by $50 or $500,000.
Although it increases taxes. That's-
Right,
Yeah, well, it
yeah.
increases
Other
taxes.
than, you know,
Yeah, puts
the
you in a better
obvious.
position to meet it the next time, but this escrow. like,
Yeah, yeah. at the next
Right.
one, Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
that's true, but still.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, this is unrelated, but just, I meant to bring it up before, the September 11th meeting, is there any possible way that we could do it September 12th? I know Mondays are your day, so, I mean,
Oh, because it's September 11th.
yeah, I mean, just because of that conflict.
That's a regular board meeting.
I know, that's.
It's not just a budget meeting.
Yeah. And now we've got a public hearing on.
Oh, and now there's a public
We
hearing.
could send, you can go, like, and we can be.
Honestly, it's not even a personal about wanting to go,
It'd be good if one member of the board went.
no,
I
I mean,
find
I
it
think that
depressing
there
here.
should be some representation from the board there, I think. But I've been meaning to ask about that just in general, the possibility of changing the date. It's enough for you.
I'm fine, well, we have, we don't have much of a choice in this,
What's that?
we set a public hearing, so we don't have much of a choice now, but,
All right, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
so move.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. So carried. I'll have Aaron get a hold of you on that.
I always forget
contract.
something, don't